Follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. Don't forget to like. The Accountant 2. If you saw my last video, I was really excited about the sequel based on the ending of the first film. I'm sad to say that this film didn't deliver like the first one did. And again, my feelings before rewatching the first film when I thought, I remember this movie ending very well, to the point where I didn't even think it needed a sequel. You know, I was right. I had rewatched the first film, got excited for the second film, and the second one, let me get into it after this 10-second break. The Stars and Stripes Freedom Deck ships exclusively in the United States. Available on eBay and Etsy, link in the description below. So in The Accountant 2, we get the return of many characters. Very briefly, we get J.K. Simmons. This is no spoiler, he dies. That's very apparent in the commercial. J.K. Simmons was hunting some human trafficking network, and his last written words were, "Find the accountant." Medina, who has basically become the new head of the financial treasury agency, has this interesting dynamic when she does kind of have this interesting dynamic with the accountant, because she has to go and seek him out again, and there's kind of this conflict she's having with herself and with the accountant and the accountant's brother, because she's trying to do things by the book and they are essentially criminals, so they don't do things by the book. So there was a lot of potential to set up an interesting dynamic of how they would have to go about solving this situation. But in the end, I think what really hurts the film is that, well, for one, it's called The Accountant, and in the first film there was this reveal of a scandal through Ben Affleck's investigation through this financial audit, and so that kind of built up the stakes of the story and the characters involved in this scandal. In this film, there's no really tension building, there's no escalation, because we kind of already know who the bad guys are. They're very apparent about, these guys are bad, and then you see who they are and you're like, yeah, no shit, those guys are bad. So there's no real twists and turns like in the first film. And then I think they were trying to do this thing with like representation. They needed more representation of autism, which is like, I get it. He is the accountant. He's an autistic character. And it was unique because he stood out as being this autistic forensic financial investigator. And he had some assistance from a fellow autistic colleague. But in this film, they almost do like Spy Kids, but with autistic kids. It's kind of weird. It's not weird. It's just cringe, because they also try to do this thing with autism that it's almost like turning all these kids into like super geniuses, which is like, autism doesn't really work like that. There are cases of people with autism who are very obsessive with certain things, so they become very proficient, but it's not like autism means you have like super brain and you just hack the matrix, you know, while you're on lunch. So they just do weird things with the whole autism factor. And then Ben Affleck has these moments where he kind of becomes somewhat not social, but he's trying to be social. So he's using like his autistic super brain power to almost create like an algorithm for himself in his, you know, social behavior. It's just, I get what they're trying to do, trying to show that he's got this high brain function, and then also like the army of spy autistic kids. It's just kind of weird. It doesn't really work. It becomes a bit too convenient. And Ben Affleck also too, he plays the character a little bit different. It almost doesn't seem like the same character from the first Accountant. It kind of feels like I'm watching a different movie, especially because there's no like actual accounting in this film. It's kind of just like, there's the bad guy, or there's the bad guys, figure out where they're at, go stop bad guys. There's no forensic situations going on in here like in the first film. And then they have this other thing with a woman who gets into a car crash, and then she hits her brain so hard that she becomes a super genius too, and then she becomes a super assassin because she's a super genius. And it's just, they're trying to do way too much in this movie, and it becomes a little too cartoonish. They almost do some attempt at like Marvel type humor, which doesn't land because that's just so played out at this point. Anyways, I think to finish off my thoughts on the film, in the first film, we get some obscured backstory about his involvement with cartels and mobster crime families. I think it would have been more interesting if in this second film, they would have focused on him doing another financial audit type situation, but with like the cartel or one of those mafias that he was pictured with. Or not even if it's the same crime people he worked with before, but just him involved in a situation like that we get to go explore with him. But that's not what we got. Support the channel. Buy the Stars and Stripes Freedom Deck, America's playing cards, available exclusively in the USA. Available from La Casa Loca on eBay and Etsy. Follow us on Twitter at ghettoplex_mp4, on Instagram at ghettoplex.mp4, and subscribe to us on YouTube at Ghettoplex.